I used to drug my dad so that I could go out and get drunk. My junior year, I went out and got drunk and subsequently got caught and heavily reprimanded. One day my dad has terrible allergies, so he took some Benadryl, and I noticed that he was out like a baby, so I started dissolving a Benadryl in his sleepy time tea. We always had tea together before bed and I often prepared it, so it wasn't unusual for me to prepare his tea. I did this several times so I could go out and get drunk without consequences. I only stopped because one time he drank the usual Benadryl slick tea but also drank a beer, and I was up all night checking on him to make sure the alcohol didn't react badly with the Benadryl. To this day I feel terrible, and when I think back I often cry. I took lots of coins out of fountains in London and pocketed them. I would go around looking in the two fountains and I would see 50p, £1 coins and even £2 coins. I would put my hand in, and if I could reach them I would take them out and keep them. Lots of kids did it. Nobody saw or nobody stopped me. I stole from a family member and blamed it on my mom. Hear me out, I am wrong from stealing from a family member. I know that. I know right from wrong. I just grew up seeing a lot of negative choices, so at the time when I was 19 I made a lot of bad ones, and also a lot of good ones. Some backstory *, my mom has been the type to weaponize her love. She would gaslight, hit me, belittle me, lie on me, tried to fight me, called me so many names to the point where what she says doesn't affect me, and I'm not shocked. At 11 years old she accused me of being pregnant and buying a pregnancy test. Mind you, she admitted to buying herself the pregnancy test just to see my reaction, to see if I was sexually active. That's the type of mother I had, if that gives you anything. Anyways, it's always up and down with her emotions, while she lives in denial. This brings me back to when I stole and blamed it on her. In that moment I wanted her to feel the pain I felt when someone lies on you, when you absolutely did nothing wrong. I wanted her to feel my hurt. I wanted her to feel what it felt like being accused when you're innocent. I wanted her to feel every emotion I would feel that she did to me. After seeing her cry and sob about how no one believed her, and no one wanted to even listen to her, made me feel sad, very sad. But at the same time she sat and watched me cry over and over, making me feel safe while also stabbing me in the back. After doing this to my mom, knowing I stole, knowing I lied on her, made me re-evaluate some things. I'm not ever going to steal from someone I love, and I won't ever lie on anyone else again. It's not worth causing someone else so much grief. Even though she gave me so much grief. All these years of pain she caused, the hurt, the sorrow, then to turn around and act like a saint makes me feel not so sad for her. She had all the time to learn from her mistakes, and she doesn't want to. I am 24 now and I feel horrible for everything I've done. I just wanted to get this off my chest. Thanks for anyone who reads. I was stealing money from my parents and never told anyone. Back in the early 2000s I was used to having my own money. My parents had a drawer where they had a few thousand. Maybe 5 TI 10,000, they only had it there temporarily. They usually don't keep money like that, it was only till they had to use it. My parents worked all their lives and still were at the time. They migrated from Mexico and eventually getting their citizenship. There was a point in life where I would always go out and enjoy life at the night time. I had plenty of my own money to do what I wanted to do. Well, there was a period of time where no money was coming in. I still wanted to enjoy myself and have fun. I had an addiction. An addiction on going out and having fun. Because what happened is that I got used to having money and doing the things that I wanted, and all of a sudden I didn't have it. It was like I still wanted to keep going out. So, I started to take money from the drawer. I would take a couple of hundreds here and there. Until the money was gone. It was gone because they needed to use it. I never told anyone, or they never mentioned anything about it. I accepted a counterfeit $50 bill, then passed it to another customer. This was decades ago when I worked retail, well past the statute of limitations. As a high school student, I worked in a mall, which is a place where, once upon a time in the olden days, people would go to shop. One particularly busy day, a customer paid for their purchase with a $50 bill. Something immediately felt off about the bill. The paper was too stiff and smooth. But there was a line and I was rushing, so I accepted the bill and didn't question the customer. Still, something didn't sit right with me, so when the line died down, I opened my cash drawer to take a closer look. This bill was so obviously a fake, I was embarrassed I accepted it. This was almost 30 years ago, and I don't remember what security features bills included in those days, watermarks, ribbons, etc., but even so, it was clear this wasn't legit. As I mentioned earlier, the paper was too smooth and stiff. That was clear as soon as the customer handed it to me, and I kicked myself for not rejecting it then. It also didn't have any of the colored fibers a real bill would have. And the printing was flawed, and not raised like a real bill. Only a fool would have accepted this bill, and I was that fool. I showed the bill to a coworker, and he agreed that it was counterfeit. He probably also agreed I was a fool, but too polite to say so. In truth, I should have just accepted I made a mistake, one that was not going to get me fired, and one that provided a lesson to be more careful in the future. The store could easily absorb a $50 loss. This wasn't going to bring me, or the store, down. Mistakes happen. But I didn't leave it that. Later that day, a customer made a small purchase with a $100 bill. In a move I still feel guilty for, I decided this was my opportunity to get rid of that bill. Realizing that the feel of the $50 bill was an immediate clue that the bill wasn't legit, I sandwiched it between other bills that made up the customer's change, $10, $50, $20, I forget the actual denominations. This way, the customer wouldn't feel the counterfeit paper until he left the store. If I felt any relief from getting rid of the counterfeit bill, it was short-lived and replaced by guilt. This was an extremely stupid thing to do. Obviously, the second customer was an innocent victim and didn't deserve what I did. Also, he was far more likely to remember what store, and even which cashier, gave him the fake bill than I was to remember or encounter the customer who passed it in the first place. As far as I know, there were no repercussions from this, other than my guilty conscience and being on Santa's naughty list. I've stolen an item from every college party I've ever been to. In college, I never joined a fraternity but became good friends with some of the guys in the frat without paying the fees. Strongly recommend this route. Being that we were friends, I got invited to a lot of their parties and private gatherings. It began as a drunken gag where I would take a small item, salt shaker, fridge magnet, kitchen utensil, etc., but over time I began to try and one-up myself. My favorite item to procure were the plastic knobs to the range on the oven. At one point, over multiple different houses/parties, I gathered a total of like 16 different knobs. From one house alone having multiple parties throughout the year, I ended owning all but one knob, so they had to pull the knob off and use it for the other burners on the oven. Years after graduating, I heard from acquaintances that multiple people had lost their deposits because of my debauchery. I regret nothing. I broke my friend's school-issued Chromebook and said it wasn't me. In middle school I had accidentally broke a friend's Chromebook. For those who are still in middle school and high school, do your friends walk up to your Chromebook and turn it off using the command control Shift QQ? I walked up to his Chromebook while we were leaving class and turned it off using said command, and I closed the Chromebook a little too hard, and when I opened said Chromebook the screen was broken, so I slowly closed it and walked away. We saw each other again during lunch and he was all down because his Chromebook screen was damaged. He told us that he has a replacement one with him and the one the school gave him is in the library getting sent to the tech department for repair. About a week later someone at the table asked how much the repair cost was and how your parents reacted to the repair cost. We got our answer, and the cost of repairing the screen was around $40 to $50. Can't remember the cost. As for his punishment, he got ground. Thanks for listening. If you liked the video, can you click the like button and subscribe?